guys, welcome to another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. Today is Friday the 13th of May 2016. This is going to be sort of a long video, so go grab yourself something to drink, and we'll wait. Because we got a few kit releases to talk about up front here, and then most of the video will be dedicated to the Shizouka Hobby Show, which is over now. Well, I should say over now. It's got one more day. There's one more public day on Saturday, but other than that, it'll be over. And we've gotten our chunks of pictures out of various sources, kit manufacturers, and whatnot. So we'll talk about the show and show you some stuff from that, and that's probably going to be obviously the longer half of the video. We're going to talk about the kits up front. That way, anybody who's like evil, can be on their way. Although I think just hang out, because I think there's going to be some stuff that we could either A, finally talk about, or B, didn't even know was coming and shock the show, so to speak. Really has been getting a lot of traction. You'll see what we'll talk about in a little bit. As far as kit announcements go. And, like I said, I think there's a few things for everybody there, unless you're just really, really militantly anti-everything that has to do with imports and racing and everything. So, on the kit well, actually, you know what? We have kit announcements, so let's do that first. We got some spot run stuff. For June, Aoshima has announced that they will be reissuing all three Back to the Future kits again. I know it's not been that long since that was just done. I know it's in I know it's been this year. It was earlier this year, so it seems like once a quarter those kits get reissued. So continue to be a good seller for them, obviously. Reissuing the Aventador Roadster, reissuing the TE71 Toyota Corolla early version, the Top Secret Nissan Silvia S15, and the Top Secret R34 GTR. And one last thing they're going to be reissuing is the Mazda Roadster NB, which would be the second generation Mazda Roadster. Now, Aoshima did do, and you're going to have to do some digging through your vintage import collectors for this one, because there's a few of them on eBay, and actually not at too terrible a price considering how old the kit is. They did do a Mazda Miata MX-5 version that has left-hand drive and is North American, or at least export spec. So it has the dashboard that you would need to build a U.S. car. I'm not sure it's necessarily U.S. spec, as I don't have one, but it fills in a, I don't know, it depends on how you feel about the Miata, I guess, important gap in the kit collection, because of course, Revell did their 1/25th scale full detail glue kit back when the original Miata came out, the NA. And then, of course, Tamiya also did their curbside, that is two kits, because there's a Miata version for export, and then they also did a Unos Roadster version for the JDM side of things, back when Mazda still had its various different stores open, Mazda AutoZam and Unos and all that, and was it Ifani for their RX-7 and stuff like that. And then the second gen, the NB Miata, the only company that ever tooled one up was Aoshima. The JDM spec, the kit they're going to reissue in June, has not been out since 2002. If you go digging for one on eBay, the last time I saw one on eBay, it was listed for $100 buy it now. And you'd be like, well, that's just crazy. It's like a 50-part curbside kit. Why would you pay that much? People have paid, because I've looked at the completed side of the auctions and ones that have actually sold, up to $90 for this kit, because it's the only one of that generation. Now, Aoshima has done a number of variations of this tooling. They did a Miata for the United States market. They did this because this is just the basic Mazda Roadster. They also did like a couple of different tuner kits, and well, I think 3 tuner kits altogether. And some of those are still actually available. So why this factory stock one is so desirable, I'm not exactly sure. Perhaps it's because it's the only factory stock one there is. And then, of course, if you're going on in your MX-5, your Mazda Roadster collection, Fujimi did a very well done for Fujimi NC, the third generation. There are two kits of that. There's one just regular factory stock version, and then there's the Mazda Speed version. And then, of course, Tamiya here just recently did their 2016 Mazda Roadster, which is the ND, or the fourth generation, which is the most current, up-to-date one. So that's kind of interesting because, like I said, it hasn't been out for a really long time. It's been really, really expensive. However, if you do want that U.S. spec one, you're going to have to go dig for one off of eBay or off a collector or resale or something, because this will not have left-hand drive parts, nor the Miata logos or anything you'd need for a U.S. spec car. Fujimi is going to be doing 4 spot runs in June, continuing with their 1/20th scale F1 series, and their proclivity to do a lot of Ferrari kits in that. They're going to be reissuing the Ferrari 150 for the Italy Grand Prix and the Ferrari F138 for the China Grand Prix. The F150 is a 2011, and the F138 is a 2013. So some more, as a friend of mine put it, more boring modern F1 cars. And then they're going to be doing 2 regular 124 scale automotive kits. They're going to be taking the... these are 2 separate kits. They're going to combine into one. There isn't a whole lot of difference between the 2 of them, as there tends not to be with these. They're going to be reissuing the Porsche 911 Carrera 2 and Carrera 4 in one kit. So you'll be able to build it either as a 2-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive version. Or Porsche, actually, I believe, did call it 4-wheel drive, but it's not like a 4x4 4-wheel drive. This is the, early 90s, mid-90s Carrera. It's not the later on version that 96 or later version that Tamiya did as their curbside kit. It's actually a pretty hard kit to get a hold of too, because that's something else that's never been reissued. This is, like I said, early 90s. It sort of looks like the 80s 911, but more roundy. It's not quite as modern as the new ones. And then they're going to be reissuing a kit again, another kit that hasn't been out for a really, really long time, another 2000 and something last time it was out. The Toyota Crown 200 Turbo. This is an S110 gen Toyota Crown. This would replicate a 1983, I believe, is what the kit says. 82 or 83 Toyota Crown. It's a generic curbside chassis, motorized. It's all of those things, but it's also the only game in town if you want an early 80s Toyota Crown. Again, that's a kit that hasn't been out for a really long time, probably 10-plus years since the last time it was reissued. It would be nice if they did their S120 version, because they did a Toyota Crown 3000, and that kit was part of the High Mecha series and has a full detail engine in it. It'd be nice to have that one back. But right then, what they're doing here is just the basic curbside one. So, now, the kits that have actually been released this week, there are 4 domestic and I want to say 4 overseas kits. The domestic ones, actually, one of these will be a nice surprise to people, because it was thought to come out this month, but nobody would give a confirmation on it. And that, we'll go lead with it, is the Model King Mobius 1965 Plymouth Hemi Superstock Melrose Missile. So, yes, this kit is available. There's a number of, well, they're not really a number because they're selling out very quickly, but there's at least 2 or 3 people still with these kits on eBay. Model Roundup has it. Your local hobby shop will have it shortly if they don't have it now. Much like every Model King kit, this was going to be another 5,000 or 6,000 kit limited production run, so keep that in mind. I'm not one of the people to induce, oh my God, they're going to sell out hobby panic, but with Model King kits, you cannot wait forever, especially on these newer popular kits. It was a different story when they were just taking old Revell and old AMT tooling and just having the tooling cleaned up and rerunning it under sort of a private label program. I think this will be a very popular kit just in general, because it fills a gap in the drag racing community. I'm not a big drag racing builder. Actually, I don't build drag race vehicles at all, but I'm also not very, familiar with it in general, but I know there's been a lot of talk about this online. The front wheels do not appear to be that narrow in real life as far as the kit goes, compared to the drawing on the box. People were asking about the wheels. I believe the front wheels are the 5-spoke kits that come in the 65 Satellite. I could be wrong there. It might be a new set of wheels and a new set of tires. However, the back wheels, aside from being new drag slicks for this thing, I think they're going to be the skinny steel wheels out of the Satellite. This is going to be where your tooling sharing comes into effect. Other differences with this kit, of course, it has a hood scoop for the hood that does not exist in any of the street kits. This is the Plymouth Satellite, so this is the hardtop, not the two-door post sedan version. It is the hardtop. The Butch Little California Flash that's going to come later on, probably in early fall, that will be the Plymouth Satellite hardtop version. You do get a Hemi in here, so instead of being I'm trying to think what comes in the Satellite. It's not a Hemi, it's something else. It's that cross ram. But at any rate, this is going to be, basically your full A990 Hemi car. It's got the same exhaust system as the Satellite does. It has a rear seat delete panel. The decals on this actually look really, really nice. I'm not sure who did their decals. I'm not sure if it was a cartograph set or not. However, all you have to do to make this kit, as far as just out of the box, and you just want to build a box stock model here, everything is going to be done decal wise. All you got to do is paint the car white. Obviously, do the bare metal foil or whatever to do your trim. I always recommend bare metal foil because I'm sorry, guys, the whole Sharpie thing ain't gonna cut it for chrome. It's not shiny enough, and it's not shiny enough. Stop trying to pass it off at it as being chrome. It's just silver paint. But the Mopar missile stuff, the Plymouth logo on the front, all of the blue is all decals. It's a giant decal sheet. It's like the size of the box, basically, as far as the decal sheet goes. But everything that you see on this car, as far as it being blue, is decals. The stuff on the bottom of the car, the trim on the belt line, and there's also blue that goes down the hood, the roof, the trunk. That's all done in decals, including a separate one for the hood scoop and a separate one for the hood itself. So you're not even trying to really go through a complex, multi-panel kind of decal thing. There's a separate one for the hood scoop and a separate one for the hood itself, so that you just, you obviously have to put the one on the hood on before you put the hood scoop on, or else it won't fit. But, it's not a situation where you're trying to trim stuff and do all sorts of stuff. Now, how much carrier film that has and how good the decals are, I couldn't tell you. I'm not going to buy this kit. I don't do drag race cars, but I know for the people who do drag race cars, well, this is an answer to something you've wanted for a real long time, and congratulations, guys. Buy a lot of them, and, maybe they'll make something I want to buy. Over at round 2, several of the May kits are coming in already. This is Der Beetlebus, the Volkswagen van show rod. I love the box art here because it says 125th Super Detail with a Z. I'm pretty sure if you said it was like Super Jive Detail, you'd get called a racist, but I guess it's still okay in 2016 to make fun of Germans since we beat them in the war twice. I know this bitch is being politically correct and touchy. I just thought it was kind of funny in a politically correct and touchy world. Apparently, it's still okay to make fun of Germans. As we talked about, because we just talked about this kit in the compilation video, this is the first time this kit has been out in 40 years. So this is an old tooling. Don't expect anything great out of this, because this was a series of Volkswagen bus show rod kits that they did. So this is, there's a much part sharing and different designing going on here, so don't expect anything fantastic out of it. But if you accept it for what it is, I'm sure you'll be happy with it. It's going to have pad printed tires, which of course will be new for this new kit, regular windows as well as tinted windows, and then this is going to be the one that for some reason has a Nestle tie-in with Fun Dip and Sweet Tarts. Of course, that's nothing to do with that in the original kit. Also out of round 2 this week, the 1975 Corvette Roadster. Got a new hood tool here, so hopefully the hood will fit this time. They've also added the metal springs back into the front suspension that have been missing out of the last several reissues of this. As you can see from the box art here, you can build it one of 3 ways: either a stock 75 Corvette Roadster, a sort of custom, and a drag car with injector stacks and roll cage and all that sort of stuff. So, be interesting to have this one back, just because I have not managed to pick up any of the old reissues of it. I might actually go running. This is, again, not a priority list kind of kit, but it'll be something that will sure filter its way in sooner or later. And then the last round 2 kits this week, and I'm going to say kits because it's really just one kit but boxed 2 different ways. and that is the reissue of the 65 Pontiac Grand Prix, quote-unquote Grand Slam 1970s style box art. This is being issued in two different ways. One, this is the original art series box, and then it's going to come in a regular size box with this box art. So, what are the differences? The original art series is going to obviously come with the original art suitable for framing nonsense in the bigger, flatter box that doesn't fit in with anything unless you happen to have import kits, because then it's about the same size. Actually, it's a little bit bigger than a Tamiya box. You get pad printer drag slicks with this that does not come in the other boxing. This is also $2 more expensive, and it's the only way, I should say, to get it molded in white. This kit, the one with the white box art, that's in a regular AMT style box, is going to be molded in that weird teal metallic that the box art model is done in. So be aware that if you really want the white kit, you're going to have to get it here. It's not going to, I don't think they're going to put little stickers on them like they do that says molded in this, molded in that, because these are two different boxes. Maybe they'll put molded in teal on the teal one. I don't know for sure, because they tend not to do that with when they do these original art series kits. Other than that, this is supposed to come out last month, but it came in a couple of days late. This is going to have the retooled clear tree with headlight covers. It's also going to have the road testing accessories back in it for the first time since it was done up originally. Other than that, it's the same 65 Grand Prix that they've reissued umpteenth times, and you may or may not already have one. Moving over to the import side of things, there's one Aoshima kit this week, and that is the reissue. And this is supposed to come out in February, but it's, for whatever reason, just came out this Friday. Of the Lamborghini Countach LP400. This is the original Lamborghini supercar kit, so to speak, as it is the supercar kit number 1. Back when they decided to do their supercar series in 2011, this was the first kit, and of course it has spawned a plethora of Lamborghinis since then. And then we have 3 reissues from Fujimi for May. They are the Porsche 911 Turbo. As we talked about before, this is really a Porsche 911 with the Euro look package that they did here for the United States. It is not an actual 911 Turbo. Those were not available in the United States, although technically speaking, this has like German plates on it, so they may be trying to pass it off as the 911 Turbo. This is a curbside kit. It really doesn't matter because you couldn't see the turbos even if there was one. However, when these kits were originally done up, it wasn't, it was done as a 911 with the Euro look package for the United States, because at the time in 1985, the Turbo itself was still on the 934. I believe. The number blanked out of my mind as I was about to say it, but it's still on like the 1970 style Enthusiast Series kit that they reissued a little bit towards the end of last year. That is the actual Turbo 911. Even though it was technically, the 934, 935, whatever it was. Reissue of the Dino Ni Ferrari 246 GTS. This is the Spider version of the Dino. Technically, I know, not actually a Ferrari, as it is not recognized by Ferrari until sometime in the mid-'70s that it was, acceptable, quote-unquote, to be a Ferrari product. Much like the 911 Turbo kit, this is curbside. Neither one of those are the Enthusiast Series kits. So know that going in. There's 85 parts to this regardless. However, it doesn't have the nearly 200 parts that the Enthusiast Series kit has. Actually, the Enthusiast Series has 208 parts, so they took a lot of stuff out to make it a curbside, obviously. And then the reissue, last but not least, of the Ferrari F40 LM. Again, curbside. You do get like a top of an engine because you can see it through the clear rear window. This was the car that they did. I want to say they did 20 of them or so. 29, I think, was the number. I just looked this up because we just had a discussion with a group of friends. They did like 20 some of these as a homogenization to run the car in Le Mans. So this was a street car, not a race car, technically speaking. But it is, like I said, a very basic kit, very basic curbside. It's 59 pieces, so it's even less pieces than the Dino. So that takes us to the Shizouka Hobby Show. This will be the 55th annual running. It'll be interesting to see what the through-the-door numbers are for the public side of things. The 2 days that they were open last year, they put almost 50,000 people through the doors. Now, obviously, it is sort of a trade show. The first 2 days is only open to excuse me, to companies and vendors and trade type people, but the last 2 days are open to the public. And I'm trying to think what I was going to say there. Lost train of thought. But the numbers of people they put through the door on the public 2 days that it's open to the public are ridiculous. It is very much the indication, to me at least, that globally speaking, the hobby isn't dying. You can see a lot of that in the United States. Oh, the hobby's dying. We're gonna... Yeah, okay, they put 50,000 people through the doors for a hobby show. Yeah, it's all hobbies. There's RC and all that stuff in there too, but still, 50,000 people through the door. It is model intensive. I mean, yeah, to me it does. They're mini four-wheel drives, and like I said, there's lots of RC stuff there. But this show is in Shizouka, which is where all of the hobby companies are. Tamiya, or I should say Tamiya, because I want to pronounce that correctly. I've watched enough videos now from this event that it's Tamiya, because without the big Tamiya attached to it, because it is somebody's last name and it doesn't have a emphasis to it. So Tamiya, Aoshima, Hasegawa, Fujimi, Platts, they're all in Shizouka itself. So this is their show, so to speak, where they literally just have to drive across town to get to it. Not like the Tokyo one where they got to travel, a few miles. So what is there to talk about? Well, we got parts runners for a number of kits that are getting very, very close to production. Like I said, we could talk about a few kits for the first time, as we knew about them, but they weren't public information. And one kit that really don't have that much information on, that really kind of, like I said, stole the show. The thing that really kind of stole the show was over at the Tamiya booth. They're doing a 1/48 scale F-14. They did not announce that to anybody prior to the show. So when people walked in, there was this, very, very detailed, very, very Tamiya kit coming out as far as that goes. It's not 1/32 scale, but it's 1/48 scale, and it looks pretty nice. It's not nice enough to make me build airplanes, but there was another thing on the automotive side that we'll get to in a second that did sort of the same thing. So speaking of Tamiya, this, of course, is the FFXK. Interesting side note. They are shipping these out to North America first. There's wild, varying conspiracy theories of why. It's a Ferrari licensing thing. It's Tamiya trying to put the screws to HobbyLink Japan and Hobby Search, because Tamiya USA is screaming about the fact that nobody here in the United States is buying kits through their local vendors anymore. They're all buying them from overseas. Be that as it may, they also are not charging nearly as much for this kit as I expected them to, based on what the price of the LaFerrari was. Tower Hobbies is going to sell the FXXK for $56.99. That is cheaper than most of the last several full detail kits that they've done. It is cheaper, as far as I'm aware, than the LaFerrari, the Enzo, the I'm trying to think the Aston Martin was also more expensive. So yeah, you could see where that conspiracy theory that they're trying to screw HobbyLink Japan is coming from. I have not enough information to come down on one side of this or the other. But I know that it's already in the hobby stores in Canada, because I've talked to a friend up in Canada who said so. And I'm going to trust him on his word there. And like I said, the delivery date for Tower Hobbies is mid-May, which is any day now. If you catch Tower Hobbies on one of those days, they're doing free shipping for over $50. The price difference between buying it in Japan and then shipping it here for just the kit, now we're not talking about the optional parts, is about $7 difference. It's $7 cheaper still to go through Japan. Right up front, out of the gate, the carbon fiber and the photo etch are not going to be available in the United States as of yet. Going to be released in Japan, of course, in June. It'll be interesting to see if they release it earlier in Hong Kong, because Hobby Easy still says they're going to release it on the 18th, which is next Wednesday. But if you're impatient and you want to spend a little bit more, keep in mind the actual shelf price for this is going to be $75. That's what the actual Tamiya USA MSRP is. So know that you will probably end up paying $75, $80 for it at your local hobby shop. unless you have somebody who can get it for you kind of sort of wholesale, like a show vendor, or you go through Tower Hobbies. But that is much, much less than I expected it to be as far as the price goes, because it should have been somewhere around $100 based on the escalating price thing with the way the Ferrari kits have been going. So it's interesting, like I said, a little start of possible war there. I mean, there was a point in time where people were accusing Tamiya of holding kits back from HobbyLink Japan for several weeks to several months, just to HobbyLink Japan, because they would be coming into places like Hobby Search, but HobbyLink Japan wouldn't get their inventory, or they wouldn't get as many kits that were promised, and they would end up, short shifting customers and stuff like that. It was causing a lot of actual problems, even with a couple friends of mine who had pre-ordered stuff and then never ever received their pre-order, and the kit went to discontinued and they never got it because they just weren't. HobbyLink Japan didn't get their allotment that they actually had ordered. So I don't know. With the most recent Martini Alpha kit, that came in within a couple of days of the Hobby Search thing, so I don't know, maybe the kits have made up with HobbyLink Japan as far as that whole thing goes, but clearly there's still something going on here, why this kit is available early here if you're willing to pay for it. Now, if you take the kit itself, the photo etch, and the decals, and combine them all into one package and ship them over here, the shipping won't cost any more because obviously the photo etch and the decals don't weigh anything. Now you're talking about $15, $20 difference, and I'm willing to wait the month or so because clearly I have enough stuff to do. So, actually, back to the pictures. Let's take a look at the parts runner, shall we? So this is the body itself. You see here, it's going to be a multi-piece body. Assembles just like the Enzo and the FXX and the LaFerrari did, as far as building off the monocoque chassis itself, rather than building up like a traditional model kit. Builds up like the real car does. Here's a picture of the chassis tree, or chassis runner. Obviously, giant parts runners as the normal goes for these, what I call black box Tamiya kits, where they're going to be the real high-end, high detail stuff. And then this is sort of like the underside, your parts of your interior. Really not much to this car's interior because, of course, it is a track car only. It's not street legal. You got a full detail engine, of course. Glass parts, chrome runners, and then your sets of accessories there. You've got two sets of decals. One is for the stripes. One is for the numbers and the interior, like the seat belts and stuff like that. The yellow thing is the masking seals. The thing just to the left of the masking seals is the metal transfers for like the names and stuff like that. And then just to the left of that is the tire decals for the Pirellis. Now, there are two optional pieces for this. First, you have the detail parts series. This has photo etch as well as the paper seat belts, which is just the way, to me, it does their seatbelt things. It's just been the way of all of their detail upsets for all of the Ferraris, like the Enzo, like the FXX, and the LaFerrari all have these paper seatbelts rather than actually being thread material like Aoshima's detail upsets go. It's a photo etch set. Not a whole lot of photo etch to it, actually. It's mostly just grills and stuff like that. There aren't even brake rotors on it. And then this, of course, is the other thing. Again, this is also optional and also separate. It is a carbon fiber set. Most of that is for the interior. Pretty much, if you go from the mid part up to the middle third, let's put it that way. The middle third is the interior. The top third is going to be like the engine area, the fender, the fender area for the rear fender when you take the hatch off to display the engine. And the bottom third there is really interior pieces where sort of you're looking at the top and the bottom of the dashboard and the door panels and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to it anyway. I don't know, the controversy be damned. I'm looking forward to it just because it's a cool car, and who doesn't want a 1,001 horsepower car? That'll take us over to let's see, where am I at here? The pictures were in order at one point in time, but now they're completely and totally different. Takes us over to Hasegawa for half a second. This is a built version of the GB122 Nissan Sunny pickup truck. This is the 1989 version. I know it doesn't. These pictures are taken at all. This picture, I should say, is taken at sort of an odd angle, so you can't tell a lot about it. But it's got a new front grille with the square headlights. It has new fender mirrors that are square. There's catalytic converter for the exhaust system. There's a new dashboard insert and stuff like that to update the kit to its later specs. Ebro is going to do this kit. We talked about it maybe last week, or not. Well, we didn't do a show last week, so week before then we talked about this. This is the third version of the MP430 McLaren Honda F1 car, 1/20th scale. This is the Japan Grand Prix version that has a different nose to it. I don't know, boring modern F1 car, right? So this will be out, should be out September, I want to say. And then, let's see, I guess that'll take us to Aoshima. Aoshima really didn't have, had a bunch of stuff on display as far as the new boxing everything into the new, car series or tuned car series. This, of course, is the brand new tooled Lamborghini Huracan that we're all anxiously awaiting. They had several built-up versions. You can see the reflections of two more down there, beside the products by Aoshima sticker. So 3 built versions. This kit may actually make its July deadline-ish. I want to say mid-August, early September, as opposed to really, really being running late, because here are the parts runners, and you wouldn't have parts runners. And these look to be a little smoother than just basic test shots. These are, of course, the 2 sets of wheel choices that you get with this kit. You do get both sets of wheels, so if nothing else, you get a whole free set of wheels with it, so to speak. This is the body itself. The front and back bumpers are separate on this kit rather than being molded in. Or molded in so much as just being part of the body, because there were diffusers and stuff like that were also separate on the Aventador, so it really wasn't like the whole front or whole back was on there. This also has stuff like the side skirts, top of the engine, parts of the interior, and then the engine itself is up there. Obviously, this is being planned for more than just this version of the kit, with the front and back bumpers being separate. I don't have any information on this whatsoever. This is just wishful thinking. It'd be nice if they did the GT3 version of this car, because it is really a popular car in Super GT itself, as in Japan, and it's with 2 or 3 teams running it this year. As well as, if you would just Google 2016 Blancpain Endurance Series GT3, you'll see that several of the actual action shots of cars from this year are the Huracan. It seems like most teams that ran McLarens have gone away from the new McLaren, and they're running the Huracan instead. So, I don't know. I have no word on that. I'm just thinking out loud. And legitimately no word on that. And this, of course, would be the rest of the kit. It is the chassis itself, your interior pieces, this part right below the chassis will be chromed in the real kit, because that's your headlight buckets and your mirror inserts and stuff like that. And then this is sort of the odds and ends of the suspension. You have the 2 different trunk covers, the inner fenders, and whatnot there. So it looks like a really nice detailed kit. Of course, we talked about this when they announced it. The doors won't open on this like they have on the previous kits. It's more of a slightly simpler, quote-unquote, build than the other ones, in the vein of the Sesto Elemento. And while we're in the Aoshima booth, we should talk about B-Max, because B-Max, of course, is distributed by Aoshima, and they were in Aoshima's booth, as was Bell Kits. Now, Bell Kits was there. They had stuff there, but they didn't have anything new there, which was somewhat disappointing to me personally, as they have put out on their Facebook that they have like 3 more kits coming, as far as they know what they're doing. The licensing is approved. The rapid prototypes are supposed to be getting done or were already done. More than likely, they're going to be minor variations of existing tooling rather than being 3 more brand new kits after the Opel. But still, was disappointing to not see what they were going to be. I kind of thought they would be, advertised at the show. I just have to keep an eye on their Facebook page instead. So, stuff that is getting close to being done would be this, there we go. the Nissan 280 RS rally car. This is going to be, I don't know what it is, 1983 New Zealand rally, I think is what it is. I'm literally going off the top of my head on that because I didn't write it down. This, of course, is a built test shot. The BMAX has been showing pictures of this done up with his decals on it. So this is getting pretty close to getting out there. I believe Hobby Link Japan says it's July, and Hobby Easy just moved the time back to June. So clearly it's not coming out as soon as people thought it was, because it was supposed to come out in May. I want to run the right parts tree picture, but they're tiny. I think it's this one. Yes, it is. So here's your parts runners for the Nissan Rally car. You can, much like a BMAX kit, there's no, it's not a separate engine. I don't know that they're going to do other versions of this kit exactly. If they are, they're going to be, doable without major body modifications, because clearly the body itself is molded all in one there, including the fender flares in the front and rear. You get like a, front bumper and a rear, front bumper itself is the only thing that's really separate. So I don't know what variations you could do out of this. There was a street version of this car done, like 50 of them, again for homogenization for rally. I was thinking about buying one of these just to do the street car version, because the street car version really was the rally car version without the roll cage. It was the stripped interior. It is. I've seen a few pictures of the cars in Japan of this, the street version of this, and they legitimately are so close to the rally car. It's probably the closest homogenization I've seen personally. Of course, I don't really pay that much attention to rally homogenizations, but unlike a lot of cars where they've done a lot of work to make them race cars, Nissan pretty much issued this out the door as a race car without the roll cage inside of it. The other thing that we've known is coming for a little while, and is actually going to come out this month, allegedly, if I can find the picture of the parts runners. Here it is. Because we'd be remiss without talking about it. This is going to, of course, be the 1/20th scale McLaren MP42B, the 1985 Grand Prix of Monaco version. So here's your parts runners here. You see all of your red on the kit itself would be decals, but of course you will have to go source out some Marlboro decals, as this is a Marlboro sponsored car, and you are not allowed to have Marlboro decals in a box kit in the anywhere in the world, because anti-tobacco. Up there at the top of the screen, the photo etch and the 3 sheets of carbon fiber all come with the separately purchased detail upset. So please know that you're not getting all of that with the kit. You're just getting the bigger BMAX mat. The tiny BMAX mat at the top there, you got to pay an extra $14 for. BMAX also announced this. This is going to be the next version of the EF3 Civic kit. Please, by all means, let's go, because I have several of these on order. Not this new modal sponsored one, but I have several of the old ones on order for decal sets that are going to be coming out of SKD decals, as well as I believe SK decals are the only ones I know that have several sets coming out that I want to get. So I have several of these on back order of the PIA version, or the PIAA version. I'm not sure if that's initials or it's just a company name. I have been told by reliable sources that the name on the top of the car, as it's shown in this picture and as shown in the actual built-up kits, the name on the red car is wrong, and the decals for the white car are also not correct. I think that be something that if BMAX figures out, they could probably fix. But it is a 2-in-1 decal set, so you're going to get the decals to do either the red car or the white and black and gold car. They represent 2 different years. One was like an 88, one was an 89, as far as what the sponsorship there, obviously because of the same numbers. I'm trying to think. I want to roll these out the way I wanted to, and then the pictures got all garbled up here. So BMAX announced 2 kits officially. One is this. This is going to be a 1/20th scale Brabham BT52 F1 car. It will be full detail, like their other F1 cars are. Very, very exciting to some people who build F1 cars, because, as somebody once told me, you can never have too much Brabham. So, you guys will be happy with that. And the other kit that they announced, and this is going to be the lead-in rapid prototypes to the next project after the BMW M3, and that is this AE92 Toyota Corolla Group A race car. This was a 1989-ish, I want to say, Group A car. This would have run against the Civics as far as car types that it would have run against in races. What we've been told so far is that it's going to be, I know this is a small picture if you guys are watching this on full screen. If you're watching it on your cell phone, it's probably great. But full screen, guys, sorry, it's the best picture I could find. This Minolta livery, the 136 and 137 car, is supposedly what they're going to do with it. Of course, that's all subject to licensing, and it could change in the future. But if you want to see what the car looks like, in real life and not in a big gray lump of plastic, here's what it is. Like I said, it ran against the Civic, and yes, it really did run with that weird 5-spoke up front, 4-spoke out back racing configuration. So that's kind of a unique thing. Speaking of the M3, I had pictures of it. Where did it go? Come hither. Here it is. Here's your built test shot of the BMW M3 E30 Gen race car. So this is very exciting because the Fujimi kit stinks on ice in all forms and shapes. So, yeah, I'm very excited to get this. The BMW M3 was run in pretty much every series you can think of. It ran in DTM, it ran in World Touring Championship, it ran at the GIA races in Macau. There is a poster of it done by a company I can't think of the name of that has like 30 plus BMW M3s on the picture. Was like every single World Touring Championship car, plus like the Australian GT champion. Like I said, these BMW M3s really were everywhere back in the day. There is a parts layout for this somewhere. Here it is. And here's your parts here. Yes, the hood is separate. No, it doesn't have an engine. It is a curbside, just like all B-Max kits are. Until something significant happens, expect B-Max kits to just be curbsides and deal with it. Stop complaining. I see that all the new engine. Well, Hobby Design says they're going to do resin engines for it. So if you really run an engine that bad, just calm your titties. It'll come, in resin form. This is going to be designed to do the 1991 Deutschland winner, I believe is what the poster says. Unfortunately, the poster is like goofy and sideways, so I didn't use that picture here. But you notice the hood's separate, the front bumpers are separate, things like that. So there's going to be many versions of this kit, I would expect, at least two, because the World Touring Championship car ran a different size set of spoiler configuration. And there was also the later version that ran into the 90s called the M3 Evolution, or the Evo, that has a bunch of different, different spoiler, different front and rear bumper shapes, or just aerodynamic parts to it, as it were. And so I would expect that too to come out of this, because at this point B-Max is two kits into their McLaren MP42, and they're three kits into that ST165 Celica from the late 80s. So clearly there's more going to be planned with here. There's just too many race cars run over too long a span of time over the course of like 6 or 7 years for them not to do multiple versions of this kit. And then, guys, I think that brings us up to our sort of big announcement that I've been hinting at, and that is this was sitting at the Platts booth. I guess Platts is going to combine with a company. I don't know if this is Hobby Nunu or it's Nunu Hobby Model Kit. I can't find anything about this company online. As far as if it's Japanese or if it's Chinese or Macau or Hong Kong or where it's from, there's no website, there's no information, but this is going to be a 1/24 scale BMW M6 GT3 kit, and the crowd goes wild. Well, the crowd might go mild, I guess, if you're not into GT3, but I am, as you guys know here, so having the first of the new body GT3 kits confirmed is very, very exciting. Now, Platts has never done an automotive kit before. They have several automotive kits that they've sold under their label, but they have been Reebok's Fujimi kits with new decals for their Girls in Panzer anime series and stuff like that. So it's very interesting to see what's going to go on here, because obviously new Hobby Model Kit is not Fujimi, who you would have thought maybe would have been a somebody who would be considering this kit as far as something to do, because as we said before, a couple of the Super GT teams are things that they've done before on the Z4 GT3, But they had a rapid prototype, and here it is. I really, really wish I could read read Japanese, because I'd love to know what this stuff says. But I'm going to go with good faith that this is something that's really going to actually happen. If you're looking at this going, why is there an Enterprise and a Bel Air here? Because Platts is Round 2's importer in Japan. I don't know how that works out, but so be it. But Platts is a fairly big company. They do a lot of military stuff outside of the anime connected stuff. So they're a fairly sizable company on the IPMS side of things. Probably they're not Dragon or Trumpeter or anything, but they're a fairly decent sized company, so they can pull this off with whoever the hell new hobby model kit is. And we'll wait for more news on that. Everything is in rapid prototyping. You really shouldn't expect to see until probably the end of the year. So don't get too excited about that M6, because it's probably not going to come out till around Christmas. Same thing goes with the Corolla and the Brabham. Because we're looking at July for the Nissan, so that'll probably put the BMW somewhere in the early fall, maybe mid-fall. It just is what it is. I'm very excited about several of these, if you can't tell. So I want them now, because I know they're going to spawn lots of decals. Because decals, yeah. But actually, I'm a very big fan of the M3, and obviously you guys know I'm a fan of the Blancpain GT3 stuff and the Super GTs, so having the new body GT3 kit's great as well. So, anyway, as we're over the 45-minute mark, I think that's pretty much it for this week. Next week, of course, we'll be looking for many more kit releases as far as domestically and overseas. Pretty much none of the May stuff has come out other than the 3 Fujimi kits. So, much from Aoshima, much from Hasegawa, and stuff like that. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it was informative and worth hanging out and watching the whole thing. So, we'll see you guys on the other side.